Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, recording is in progress. Now we'll restart the meeting instead of at 6:05 at 6:06. In the room is Mike DeSocio of the Planning Committee and Select Board, Matt Bachler from Wyndham Regional Commission, myself, Stanley Noga, Mark Everett Bills of the Highway Department, and on Zoom we have Leah Daly, who's Secretary of the Planning Committee, and John Baloo, who's Chairperson of the Meeting House Committee. Thank everybody for attending, and I guess I'll start off simply by asking, are there any changes to the agenda that was sent to people? I think I've covered pretty much everything. We are going to discuss what our future steps are, floods, changes to content, the survey results, the redlining that Matt did, and we're going to take notes and record the input from the Meeting House Committee and the Highway Department. Try to limit those individuals to 5 minutes each. And so I'll ask again, is there any change to the agenda for tonight? I hear nothing, so I guess we'll just proceed, and the next action would be to review the draft of the minutes that Leah Daly was kind enough to create for us and forward along to all. I have no comments myself. Does anyone else? I hear nothing. So I make motion to accept the minutes as proposed.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the minutes as proposed, say aye or raise their hand.
Aye.
It's unanimous. We have a quorum, 3 of 5. So, all right, minutes accepted as presented. Thank you very much, Leah. That was a lot of work. Appreciate it. And now let's see. We're just a little ahead of schedule. How about that? Next is item number 4. It's the input from the Meeting House Committee and the Highway Department. You each have up to 5 minutes, and John, you're kind enough to participate by Zoom tonight. Thank you very much. I got your email. I've mentioned to the people that are here that we have it. But would you care to basically state the content and add any additional comments that you would like?
Or the composition of the Meeting House Committee at this point is really focusing on planning events. We're not so much talking about bigger picture items, which is probably what you're looking for. But we currently hold about half a dozen events throughout the year. And we're always looking to expand those with new ideas. We also do 2 events for fundraising. One is a big plant sale, and the other is we send out mail out requests for donations. We'll do this between the end of the year and I think early spring. But one of the big things that's happening with the Meeting House is Bruce Mello, the building commissioner, is working hard to make the house usable year-round. At this point, we don't have insulation, we don't have efficient heat, so we are limited in events, kind of in November through March or something like that. We have a holiday sing-along that we had for a couple of years now. That's quite a chilly event. We're learning how to make it a little bit warmer. So the big issue is that there are going to be improvements to the Meeting House that are going to allow us to expand our event capacity. We haven't really talked about that much, and perhaps we'll have a meeting to address that more directly. As I said, we're usually focusing on just hosting those half a dozen or so events during the year. But in terms of the future of the house, we plan to continue trying to make it a community center, and holding community events and special events, perhaps showing movies, providing lectures, etc. So that's what I can give you. If you're looking for anything more, I can provide that in written form. I don't really have a sense of how much detail you're going into in the planning report.
Yeah. And John, if I can, I'm Matt Bachler with the Wyndham Regional Commission, so I'm working with the town. This provides some support in the plan revision process. I just have a couple questions, if you don't mind. I know in the current town plan, one of the recommendations was to nominate the meeting house to the National Register of Historic Places. I'm not sure.
That's been done.
That's been done, okay.
That's been done, yep.
Okay. And then the 6 events during the year or so that are hosted there, are those primarily put on by the meeting house committee, or is the space like a kind of event to come in, or?
No, they're primarily put on by our group, but we have a big pool of volunteers that turn out every time we have one of these events. We couldn't do it without them. But we basically schedule them and decide which ones to host, and look for, say, performers or musicians.
Let's see.
So John, is the long-term idea about the meeting house to provide a place for the town to get together, meet, share our daily and experiences and so forth, a kind of a potential cultural center in terms of long-term?
We don't really have, did you say lounging or what?
Well, no, well, it could be a
But
coffee place. It could be, I know there was a yoga use for it last fall, but I mean,
That's-
on a long-term basis, what the thoughts might be. Over the years, I know that's changed a lot. And I don't know if you care to even comment on that, but just a question.
we haven't really talked about that, besides kind of trying to repeat the events that have been held in the past on a regular basis. And I guess that's probably the long-term vision of it. We're limited in what we can do because the pews in the church are fixed. And so that lovely sanctuary is going to be a church, or look like a church for a long time. But we've hosted music events there, and they've been very successful because of the acoustics. So we'll be looking more at that. But mainly as community events, scheduled periodically through the year.
One last question I had, I guess it's question 2 for Mike, on the select board is does the town commit funds on a regular basis to the meeting house, like as an annual appropriation, or?
So the town has not, overall, has not used town funds.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we paid electric bills and things like that.
Yeah.
But, no, overall hasn't used town funds. We apply for grants.
Yeah.
I think we did, use some of our, ARPA
Okay.
funds.
Yeah.
And that didn't come from the taxpayers. It
Right.
came from the feds.
Yep.
So we have committed some of that.
Okay.
And I think the goal is to fundraise and then grants,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have a pool of matching funds so that we can be grant eligible.
Yeah.
And we received a few grants. We just have a
Yeah.
grant now to insulate
Okay.
and paint the building and do some like carpentry.
Okay.
There's other rehabilitation work that the place needs
Yeah.
before we get to a point where you asked about it being more broadly available for use.
Right.
If, say somebody wanted to hire it or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not yet accessible, we call it, a handicap accessible,
Mhm.
but that's somewhere in the plans,
Yeah,
you know, so. It would be a while, but I could see a day if I live long enough
yeah,
where it could be, where somebody could hire it out, so to speak.
yeah.
You know, but it's got a ways to go before it's ready for that.
Okay.
But, you know.
Right. And we've also told the town at town meetings that we don't want to spend taxpayer funds on the meeting. There's some pretty strong feelings about that in the town. So we're
Yeah.
trying very
That makes
hard
sense.
to avoid that. Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry, John, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Uh, when the town took the building over back in, I think it was 2014, the citizens at the time expressed a desire to not utilize taxpayer funds to keep and improve the property. But I would interject that the survey that was done with Maggie Foley's assistance back in 2024 and very early 2024, what we noticed is that there was I think almost a 50% response of the total responses, 50% said they would like to see that used more and
Yeah.
focus on more. So there's a feeling that is very strong, and I'm not sure that if maybe sentiment over time might be changing on that concept. So I'll just interject that. In the town plan where it says, what have you done since the last town plan? This was included on that list because we've replaced the foundation under the annex.
Mhm.
We have installed storm windows on the sanctuary portion of it. I believe the window frames and windows of the sanctuary have been painted in and out. We have installed what's called a below ground roof, which takes the water and snow melt that comes off the roof, dissipates it away from the building,
Mhm.
because in the past that has not been there and the water has infiltrated into the crawl space below it.
Yeah,
Also, since the last town plan, I believe there's been a fourth hot air heating system placed in the annex, so that part of the building is heated, but again, not insulated,
yeah,
and that's gas fired.
Isn't there steeple work that's been done?
Yes, there has, good memory, Mike,
Yeah.
there's been some structural steeple work and cosmetic steeple work.
Mhm.
It's been painted, new copper flashing, some of the infiltrating areas around where the roof is and the steeple, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, has been showed up a little bit, so
Yeah.
quit is. So there's been
Yeah.
expenditures, ARPA money.
Yep.
And grants in
Yeah.
that light to
yeah.
add to what's been done since the last
Yeah.
time.
Okay. And then, yeah, I mean, it looks like in the current town plan, I mean, there's a policy in there about preserving the meeting house and developing community uses for it. And then there are recommendations about pursuing grants and other funding sources, making improvements to allow it for year-round use, encourage public and private use of the building. So there's already good language in the plan to support everything you're doing and to continue on with that work. But I think it's helpful to at least just include like a paragraph in the plan about what had been done, because it does show progress and.
And it has been used twice for labs.
Okay,
We
yeah,
have leased it or actually
Yeah.
allowed people free of charge to
yeah,
utilize it to have their marriage ceremony done there. So
yeah,
there's that aspect that's above and beyond town get-togethers that's been done.
Would you like me to provide that information? Some of the information is in the email I sent Stan, but I can put together a paragraph that's much more specific. Although what you just said is what we just said was quite comprehensive and what's been done. So thanks.
yeah.
So did you care to ask anything more to be sent by him, or are we pretty much there with what we've done this evening?
I think that's good for the meeting house committee, because right, the town plan, it's a very high level document. So this amount of information I think is sufficient to
Okay.
have in your town plan. So, yeah,
That building,
yeah,
probably more than anything else we do,
yeah,
is a place where people are willing to come together.
yeah,
Has interest in it.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we don't really,
Yeah,
if we gather with the town,
Yeah.
it's there,
right,
right? We don't see them gather with the town, well, we're at the annual meeting and the other thing. But
yeah,
we'll talk about having annual meetings there,
yeah,
which we could easily do.
yeah, where do you have your town meetings currently?
In the basement of the daycare, what formerly elementary school,
Home
in the meeting room or gym, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Thank you, John, and
Yeah.
your group of people, your members of your committee for your input, and it looks like for the moment, the planning committee has got enough info from what you've offered to proceed with some degree of accuracy.
All right, thank you very much. Just let me know if you need anything more. All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Sure we
meeting.
will. Thank you, John. Have a good evening.
Thanks, John.
Okay, next we have Mark Bills, our highway supervisor. You got anything in the highways or grants at whatever and goals? He's the guy to answer the question.
Yeah, not sure what you are looking for
Yeah,
details.
I mean, I guess, so the town plan was last done in 2018. And so it has a whole section dealing with transportation in the plan, and it provides a good overview of kind of what you have in terms of your road network, and it has strong policies about just making sure you're keeping track and doing necessary maintenance and updates to roads, bridges, and culverts.
Yeah.
So I guess it's, if you have any thoughts, I guess, on any significant changes in the last several years that, I mean, obviously the 2023 floods, I know those impacted Brookline, so I think,
Yeah,
right,
2021 floods as well.
yeah, because there's a section of the plan that talks about flood issues. It's a flood resilience section, but I think it would be helpful to include a little more just in the transportation section about flood and stormwater issues, just because it is such an issue for Brookline and for other towns in our region. So, yeah, just generally for the two flood events, are there particular roads, I guess, that are more vulnerable and so on?
so our first flood event there, that leads back to 2021, I believe. We're all back up to state standard.
Yeah.
Repairs for that one, and we're still just waiting on two FEMA flood repairs related from the 2023 incident. And basically everything else that is on a list is again following the state standards.
Yeah.
In compliance with the way the state wants everything done.
Yeah. Is that sorry to interrupt, the municipal roads general permit, those standards, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we, the select board, they sign off on that, and that gives us, a little bit of leeway, extra funding for projects. Because we're such a small town with a small amount of miles.
Yeah.
Our budget is small, and, when we get funding from the state, our qualifications is, a class 2 road limits us to how much we can do, so we have to save money.
Yep.
We're getting a state aided grant like every 10 years, so it keeps us from moving forward at a better pace.
Yeah.
We have to wait, but however, through Wyndham Regional's program and with working with V-Trans, there are available grants that we're applying for that will help us in between the 10-year
Right.
span. So
Yeah.
we're in the we're eligible for a grant for paving through the state for next summer. We've actually won that one, and we're just seeing it through next summer.
Which road is that?
It's Grassy Brook Road here, and the money that we save as a town budget to match to go with this grant from the state. Will only allow us 1 mile of paving.
Yes.
So. So we pick our, of course, our worst area and try to better that. We also have in our sights for next summer, structure grant.
Okay, yeah,
And we've already done like a priority list through town, from one end of town to the other
mhm,
of condition. And
yeah,
so we're planning to do a structure grant next summer.
sorry, do you have the grant, or you're gonna be applying for it, or?
It'll be awarded to us next in 2026.
Yes.
And then I guess there is a 17-month window or something like that to get it done. So
Yeah,
2 seasons,
Yep.
but
yeah,
we're hoping that we can do it next summer.
okay,
Sorry,
And then
just
of course,
sorry. Apologies for interrupting, Mark. Did you say structure grant? It just cut out for a second. I just want to make sure I get it for the minutes.
yes, that was structure grant through
Okay, thank you.
V-Trans, yes.
Is that for a building or
Yeah.
highways?
This is for highways.
mhm.
Uh,
Like a
yeah.
culvert or?
It pays for box culverts and short bridges. And we have a structure
Mhm,
that's high on the priority list that's really rusted out. There's no bottom left in a large
yeah,
culvert, so that's the one we're aiming for.
okay. Which road is that on?
It's on Grassy Brook Road.
Your Gatos Lane?
No, this one is, I believe, number 57 is the culvert number on our Wyndham Regional culvert mapping.
Yep, yeah,
And it's a narrow section of road,
okay,
and I believe we've already got the hydraulic
yeah,
study. I'll have to speak with Megan and
yeah,
Mark and have them come up, and
yeah,
it's gonna be one it's gonna be a major
yeah,
project because of
Yeah.
a bypass
yeah,
perhaps, and whether it's gonna be a bigger culvert, an arch, or a concrete structure,
mhm.
but
Cause right now it's just a metal culvert.
right now it's just a squash
Yeah.
metal culvert,
Yeah.
wider than it is tall.
Yeah.
The bottom, since Irene flood came through 2011,
Yeah,
it washed out, and we put material back around it
yeah,
to let traffic flow. And we knew it was getting bad,
yeah,
but the fact that we only get a structure grant every
Right.
10 years,
right,
we were holding back.
Yeah.
It's at the point now where it's really due to
Yeah.
be replaced.
yeah,
We also keeping up with the Vermont state standards, are replacing all of our under 3-foot culverts, bringing them up to state standard size of the minimum is 18 inches under the road. So each summer I do, 5 to 8, 18 to 3-foot diameter culverts. That's part of our staying in compliance. And we follow all the other, ditching and
Yep.
stuff like that.
okay,
Let me see. So since I believe 2018, what's changed for the town is the town has purchased some equipment.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
what year did we buy the excavator?
I believe it was 2023, we bought a 4-wheel JCB excavator. That same year, we bought a modest sized dump truck. It's a Ford F-350.
F-550.
Is it 550? Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
it's pretty much the same look, but it's a little heavier duty. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Yep.
We also acquired a leaf blower back
Yeah.
in 2022 that wasn't on the other plan.
yeah. So that's probably good for clearing ditches.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
it's really it's a key essential tool.
Mhm.
The town has also purchased a roadside mower that attaches onto that 4-wheel excavator.
Yeah,
So that Mark can do that at any time.
Yeah,
And also decided, I think about the same time, out of in 2022, planning for this in 2023.
Mhm.
It's like the end of the year, we talked with Mark, Mark approached us about
yeah,
him possibly leaving, and we didn't want to see that. So we made a full-time position, the highway
Yeah.
network department now has a full-time highway person, which
Yeah.
is Mark.
yeah,
So, and that was not in existence previously.
okay,
So the commitment by the,
Yeah.
by the town to the highway, roads and so forth, is reaffirmed from whatever it was. It definitely made a fact that we want to provide Mark with what he
yeah,
needs to get the job done, and we may possibly even need to do more as time goes by. I don't
Yeah.
even know if some of the chainsaws or whatever that you use are the towns or yours or what, so.
The towns.
Are they?
I,
Okay.
I have had to use mine for backup,
Okay.
but yeah. So the town has evolved. It
Yeah.
went from everything was out for bid or ironed out to now we're starting to be more efficient as a town itself.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Stuff, yeah,
recently we, hired a person for a day a week, 1 to 2 days a week as needed,
okay,
and that's going well.
good.
And personally, every time I see Mark go by with the truck that has Brookline Highway Department on the side, I say, damn. It was done.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's, I believe the town
yeah,
purchasing the equipment,
yeah,
is really, saving the town money, actually.
Yeah.
I know it takes money to
Yeah.
make money, but it's
In the long-
a savings in the long run.
that's awesome.
So that's going rather well, I believe. Um,
Is it just Grassy Brook and Hill Road that
Hill-
are paved,
yeah.
is everything else?
yeah, for the most part, those are our two main, but, about I think it's a half mile of Putney Mountain
Yeah.
Road off the intersection is paved.
Yeah.
And Harris Hill, just the very beginning, is paved. Yeah, so that's most of our paving.
Yeah.
Not all of Grassy Brook is paved.
No,
No, okay.
there's like 8 miles of Grassy Brook and
Okay.
only 5 is paved.
What you got? Yeah.
Once you get past Whitney Hill Road and north, it's all
That's
correct.
all ground, okay.
Now, I don't know if this is a time to bring up
Yeah.
tracking. But when I was going through the
Yeah,
plan,
yeah,
I noticed that there was 5 or 6 maps.
yeah,
First two
yeah,
accurately displayed Greer Road as a unpaved class 4 road, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, originally,
When you look at the other maps that follow,
yeah.
all of them have that as an unpaved class 3
Okay.
in the drawing, so that needs to be
Yeah, we can,
changed if this
Yeah.
is an opportune time to do that.
yeah, we can definitely update that. And just so you know, I think I mentioned this in the email that I sent, like at this point, the only thing I've touched in the plan is the data, kind of the background data. So there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be updated, but that's good feedback, because that's something that Jeff in our office can make sure we correct.
yeah, I think way back it was a 4.
Yeah.
And then it got bumped to 3
Mhm.
with intentions of fixing it up to a 3,
Yeah,
and it didn't take place. So when a new select board member came on, you have to verify the number of miles per
Yeah.
class road. Realized that it didn't fit the category of the class 3, so then we bumped it back to 4. It's L Parker Road and there's a little wooden bridge and you go across, that's
Okay.
where.
Oh, okay.
I know this is not to you, but the hearing that we had for that particular purpose of making it a class 3 versus a
Yeah.
class 4. 21 people showed up in this room.
Mhm.
Only one of those people was in favor of upgrading it to a class 3.
Mhm.
Everyone didn't, should be about a class 4 at best.
Yeah,
So if I'm not mistaken, Mark, I don't know if you were here that.
I think I was, the fact that it only leads to one
Mhm.
camp on the road and then it it butts two landowners.
Yeah.
So therefore the
Yeah.
need, the cost to bring it up to class 3 was out, out of the numbers.
It makes sense. Does the town of Brookline, does it have any policy on class 4 ratings? How to handle those? Do you know?
We do have something, we follow, I think, the Orange Handbook.
Yeah.
And so as long as they're passable,
Mhm.
we do monitor them to make sure that people can get through.
Yeah.
We did lose a road during the 2021 flood due to culverts all plugged.
Yeah.
And so we had to do some road work to make it passable again.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, are there particular like specific roads that are
Seasonal.
or like more, well, I guess more like prone to flood, like in 2021, 2023, are there like certain spots that
Yeah, I say that anything that's not like a flat
yeah,
area, the hills are,
Yeah.
I monitor the most because they're
Yeah.
more susceptible to
yeah,
flooding. And when we had those floods, what caused it was the fast,
yeah,
it was like over 5 inches of rain came in such a short time. And floated every leaf, every debris, stick, twig to the ditches.
yeah,
When they got to the culverts, it sealed them.
yeah,
The water could no longer go through, so. That's why I feel that the hills are
yeah,
more susceptible. The flat, Brookline is basically a valley and the
yeah,
water comes up and then it goes down. And sometimes you don't see any damage. It's just that it
yeah,
came up slowly,
yeah.
down slowly. It doesn't, so yeah, that's to answer that question. The one thing that I did wanna touch on, and I don't know if it's a permanent no to the town. Internet service, it ends like
Mhm.
at the end of the pavement. And,
Yeah.
and before you even get to the end of the pavement up here, the service is really shaky.
Yeah,
And it would be nice, I think, if there was some way that people, I call it, 2/3 of the way through town, we do have internet.
Yeah.
I mean, phone service.
yeah,
And, from there on,
yeah.
it's nothing.
Yeah,
So-
and I know it's a challenge for many areas, especially as you get more and more remote. And it's just
Right.
the cost of it, like for like the large providers, there's just. Yeah, I don't want to speak for them, but they don't see a lot of value, I guess, in investing
Right.
in those areas.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, once you get a certain distance away from the main.
Yeah.
roadways, it's just very,
I know Newfane has,
Yeah.
a tower.
yeah,
And I think we get access from that where it's accessible, but,
mhm,
I didn't know if there was some new, as time goes on in modern
Yeah.
day, if there's some repeaters or, I've heard of different techniques that you
Yeah.
have to bounce, service and didn't know.
yeah. I mean, hopefully there'll be some advances in technology. I mean, one of the few things towns can do is if they have municipal property and they're willing to lease space to a provider, if the provider is even interested.
Right.
But that has to be, the property has to be in the right location
Right,
for it to make sense to the provider, but
yeah.
that's kind of one of the few.
Yeah, I didn't know like if Brookline was to take a vote on it, if it would just be shot down or if it was a possibility or an option, but
Yeah,
I know a lot of people are against them, but
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It does seem like has been evolving. I feel like there used to be stronger
Yeah.
opposition to towers, and now it's as it's become so ubiquitous, like everyone has a phone and the demand for service. Now people want to see it more.
Yeah,
10, 15 years ago, it was
right.
there's much more opposition. But I think for like broadband internet, I don't know if is Brookline part of Deerfield Valley Communications District, do you know?
We use Comcast, which is
Yeah.
throughout town,
Yeah.
and we are a member of the EV fiber
Fiber, yeah.
network
Yeah.
program that's funded, was
Yeah.
federally funded. I'm not sure how that's gonna. be.
Yeah, yeah,
But I know that in theory, in several
Yeah.
years, we're supposed to be a recipient of
Yeah.
those fiber optic cables,
yeah.
but that doesn't, I don't think, cover cell phone service.
Yeah, it doesn't help with the on service, but.
And as much as I hate to say it, having been an appraiser and appraising people's houses who had cell towers put in,
Yeah,
and looking at what they said to me when I was there. I can think of one in particular along a very rural part
yeah,
of Guilford,
yeah.
to be along I-91.
Mhm.
So there was a tower needed between Greenfield and Brattleboro. And that happened to be the spot.
Yeah,
It's the cell service, the cell company that puts these in was very much in favor of it. But being at the north end of Brookline with no major highway.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I had a sense that it would be more an idea of talking to cell people into putting it in.
yeah,
At a reasonable rate, and
Right.
that's probably gonna be the rub there, I
yeah.
suspect.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay, well, that was just a topic I wanted.
I'm not shooting the idea down,
No,
but
no,
just
it was
saying
just
what could
something
happen.
that I wanted to throw out.
That satellite system, I think is the way to go.
Yeah, I
What's the
would
name of
think,
that thing?
Darling, Darling,
So,
yeah,
yeah, I would think that would cover everybody, you know,
yeah,
and maybe it's not a good situation, but so I also have a thing here where since we got the truck and the excavator, we now have a way to be self-sufficient.
Mhm. Yeah.
To improve our roads during
yeah,
mud seasons.
yeah,
You know, our weather patterns changed a little
Yeah.
and we're having midwinter thaws and then
Yeah.
of course springtime, and so we started applying just plain crushed stone, small crushed stone over the roads when they become soft,
Mhm.
and it's working so well.
yeah,
But in order to be able to put this material on the roads during winter
Yeah.
months, you need to have it dry.
yeah,
It can't be froze together, it can't be covered with snow or it doesn't spread out of the vehicle, out of the truck. So I'm in hopes to put up a three-sided shed with a roof to contain
yeah,
this product for future
yeah,
upkeep of soft roads.
that's a good idea.
And so that's a project that hopefully within the next season we'll see.
Yeah, I know, I live in Putney on a dirt road and they've been doing something similar, just
Yeah,
dumping
yeah,
crushed stone on soft spots. And it seems to, yeah,
it really helps. I mean, if you think about it, dirt when it freezes gets hard, when it thaws out, it's mud.
yeah.
So the stone stays the same texture,
Mhm.
you know, year round, and you keep applying it into
Yeah.
these same places, and eventually you have
Right.
a really good top base that
Mhm.
supports a vehicle.
Yeah, we'll get your footing down.
Yeah. Another thing that I haven't brought to the town yet, and I don't think it's out of budget reach, is you know, this summer started out with major rains.
Mhm.
And then it switched completely to dry weather. And our roads were so dusty.
Yeah.
And you lose, you know, a certain amount of material off your roads through dust floating away.
Mhm.
And so I'm hoping that we could maybe step up and I'm comparing Brookline with Athens, Fane, Townsend.
Yeah.
They buy in this chloride liquid product, store it in a bulk plastic tank at their town garage. And then they have a smaller tank, plastic,
Mhm.
it goes on the back of their small truck.
Yeah,
They put the liquid in there and drive along and water the road down with this substance that
Mhm.
binds the material back together to keep the dust down, and
yeah,
it makes the road last better
yeah,
through the dry months.
That's enhancing the infrastructure itself, I guess,
Yeah,
for the future.
right, yep.
Are there any aspects that you're looking for future, since we're ordered
Oh,
to settle in?
Sorry, yeah.
no, I love,
That
I love what you're talking about.
there is development that might happen
Yeah.
for the Illinois Road. There's
Yeah.
Input or circulation of rumor that a gentleman who bought 100 and it's some odd, 100, almost 190 acres, is thinking of putting in a development of glass houses off that. Solar
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we, for future possible development,
yeah,
and I look at plan in the past and look at where areas of development most likely were stated to be. I
yeah.
would think the southwest,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Yeah, northwest portion of Brookline. Where there's areas of field along
Yeah.
between the mountainous part and the river.
Yeah.
That have been in the past.
Yeah,
Cultural fields.
yeah,
Maybe an area that this person might be thinking of developing. If
yeah,
I'm not mistaken, yourself, and, Doug. We're
Yeah.
talking about making slow improvement, upgrading culverts and road width
Correct,
from terms of growth for the
Yeah.
future.
yeah,
Slowly, because as a town, it's hard to just do it all at once.
Right.
So that's an area of development, I think,
um,
that would be pertinent to what Mark
Yeah.
said. Realm of responsibility.
yeah, I had heard the same rumor that a
Yeah.
developer had originally bought this piece of property to
yeah,
build on, and then I
yeah,
had the opportunity to meet the guy who's out there now, and he purchased it from the developer. And he's not planning to develop,
Oh, okay.
so he bought it as, he wants to just keep it.
Okay, that's good to hear.
yeah,
He is building on it for himself.
yeah,
He's built a garage and he's putting in a driveway to
Yeah.
go up just out of sight on another level
yeah,
to build a tiny house.
Yeah.
For him and his wife.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So, but I've asked him if he,
yeah,
is gonna want us to plow this for winter months, because this is
Yeah.
on a seasonal
okay.
road that we stop at the last residential house.
Yeah.
And he said, no, he's not ready for residential yet,
Okay,
that he
Yeah.
would let us know,
okay,
but we are. The fact that all of our roads are busier than they used to be.
Yeah.
More people.
Yeah.
And we're trying to improve them
yeah,
now, so we will be adding new culverts.
yeah,
Cutting trees to improve ditching
Mhm.
and better the roads for future. And also to get, if a, say, a fire truck or
Yeah.
a vehicle. And just recently, again, for I don't know how many times it's taken place, but
yeah,
Route 30's been closed for an emergency.
yeah.
And the traffic comes through this road
Yeah,
to get around the incident.
Mhm.
And I believe that's, unless you can think of something more, if you wanna. Invite me, or if you ask for any other information, I know
Mhm.
I've written down here, I think Brookline's one of the last small quiet towns that's not set up the same as others
Yeah.
around us yet. And I know some of these towns, something that we need to think about probably for future budgets is, a lot of these towns buy new equipment, but they rotate them out. There's a lifespan to a piece of work equipment, so they rotate them.
Yeah,
And so that's something
yeah,
that's something the town should think on. And then
yeah,
there's also, now that we're becoming self-sufficient with some tools, there's a few more other small
Yeah.
items that
yeah,
would make the job.
yeah,
But yeah, for pretty much sums up.
Okay, thank you.
Clients, yeah.
Yeah, just a quick note, just for like planning for future replacement of, I don't know if the town has capital reserve funds for its equipment, because you just got the equipment. You might not have capital reserve funds for it, yeah, but that's something for the town to think about is, then you put aside whatever it is, $5,000 a year. So
Yeah.
that in 20 years, you have some money built up.
Right,
Like we do more than, yeah,
yeah,
We have a plan to use the rental income from the daycare.
yeah,
That purposes, instead of, in the past, if that had gone to reduce people's tax burden,
yeah,
we're gonna put it aside and use it for capital replacement,
yeah,
and then leave it. So,
yeah,
so the fund is empty, so that was a
Yeah.
big source of, going to be a big source of capital reserve fund.
yeah.
Now we're back to square one.
Or to, yeah, get the reserves in the first.
Might be, you know, we might, I don't know, it's possible we might sell a building somewhere along the line, and that might create a.
Yeah,
Reserve fund.
yeah,
yeah,
I go to the Wyndham Regional puts on these road
right,
foreman meetings, so I
Yeah.
get to go and listen in,
yeah,
and you hear a lot of important, good stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and then I get to personally visit with the town of Athens,
Yeah.
town of Newfane. We actually
That's good.
share. So I've had Newfane has come over and
Yeah.
done some chloriding for us
Mhm.
on occasions, and
yeah,
but I know that Athens is very willing to share some,
yeah,
you know, trade back and
Yeah.
forth, or
something that, yeah,
I help them, they help us.
Yeah.
So that's an opportunity that could
Yeah.
makes sense in the future.
yeah,
Okay,
Okay, well,
great. Thank you, Mark. That was helpful.
yeah,
All right,
thank you,
well,
Mark.
so,
Nice
yeah,
to meet you.
Nice
Yeah.
to meet you.
Yeah.
And yeah, if there's any questions, you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
So, yeah, thank you guys. Have a good night.
You too.
Night on you.
Well, guess we're now at action number 5. Review of red line edits and removal of outdated data. That's what I took down here, but I probably need to depend on you, Matt, as to how you wanna approach it in terms of this evening and going over it.
Yeah,
I got it on my computer. I assume most people who sent out to everybody probably does as well, or printed it out.
yeah, and as I mentioned in my email, so at this point, I just went through and updated all of the, as best as I could, all the kind of background data within the plan related to population and housing characteristics and economic characteristics, based on the most current data available. So either from the 2020 census or the most recent American Community Survey. And then there were a couple places where there's data in your current plan that I recommended that you consider taking it out. I mean, it's data that is available that I could track down, but so because it's a lot of these updates are just updating, it's just factual data. I mean, I'm happy to go through it, but I guess if there are specific questions about any of the data that was updated, it might definitely, if we can take time about recommendations for data to be taken out, if there's any concerns about that.
Mike, did you have any?
My bias would be if you recommend we take it out, I'm not gonna object to it, we take it out. I don't know specifically what we're talking about, but
Yeah,
I read, when I go through this thing, there's a lot of. I'm not, you know, I don't know, I'm not a huge data guy anyway, so I underappreciate data. So if we get a lot of pages of data that nobody's using,
yeah,
and I
and
don't care about spending money to update it or spending your time reading.
right.
Leah, did you have a chance to review the red line edits and have any thoughts or feelings about any issues that you wanted to address?
No, I mean, yes, I did have an opportunity to review it. And no, I didn't have any, I would say, specific questions. I guess I would just leave it at that. So I guess I'm double checking the red line now, and just pulling it up again. And I just wanted to make sure. So when you say you replace the data, do you mean specifically which section, I guess?
Yeah. So it's primarily in the community profile chapter. So
Okay.
that begins on page 13. So that includes data just on current population and population trends. And then, but some of the other chapters too, like the economy chapter includes some background data, and the housing chapter and energy chapter also have some data, background data.
Yep.
So I went through all the sections that just have that background
Perfect.
existing conditions data and updated that. Some of the areas where I was recommending you take out data, the 2018 plan has population projections that the state did a number of years ago now, and they only projected out to 2030. They haven't updated those projections. I don't see a value in keeping them in there. Because they're just kind of out of date. And and then there's a couple of charts just showing Brookline's population as it relates to the total state population and Windham County population, which I think are interesting, but they just take up a lot of space.
And
I
it's so
think
small, it's like.
yeah, and I just think for like overall readability of the plan, I think they just kind of break it up. And I don't know what the takeaway, I guess, from it is.
I had no problem with, accepting all of the suggestions you've made.
Okay.
The only question I had was, I noted that there are charts
Yeah,
and there are graphs. And
Yeah.
you're using the term charts. So are you
Yeah.
saying that, are you using chart and graphs interchangeably, or are you referring only to the charts?
yeah,
Frankly, all of the graphs can be done away with as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
And there's a couple of dates that in the report that I did that needed to be changed for complete accuracy, which again, I'll forward along to
Okay.
here highlighted in yellow. So I guess as far as redlining, it doesn't sound like we have
yeah.
any issues with taking out what you felt is appropriate to take out.
Okay. That sounds good.
So that's how I'm reading the responses here.
Yeah, and I think once we get to like a more complete draft too, it'll be easier to it can be difficult. I have a difficult time reading redline documents. Once you see a complete draft, you'll be able to see like if something is really missing, we can always put something back in. But
You think the chart comparing or graph comparing the population with surrounding towns can go.
yeah, that one I thought could go.
So basically from page 21 on, I think I noticed you inserted a new paragraph
Right.
above the population distribution age group.
So
And then you took one out below that, and then that chart below that.
that's going.
So that's fine.
Yeah, the chart I put in, the Brookline population distribution by age group, that's new that I put in, but I took out the Windham County population by age. Just because I don't think that is very useful for Brookline versus just looking at your own age distribution. Which, like many communities, the town is aging between 2010 and 2020. But I think, you were aware of that in 2018 in the town plan, so that's been an ongoing trend.
I do have a question regarding nomenclature.
Yeah,
I was curious as to how Michael and yourself felt about this, as Mike has already mentioned, the tenant for the former elementary school is leaving soon.
yeah,
I suspect by the end of this month, it sounds like. And so
yeah,
in the prior town plan, it was referenced as Sunny Lane Daycare Center and Preschool. The current tenant, as of 4 or 5 years ago,
yeah.
is actually Susie's Little Peanuts Daycare. And where we're, by this time,
Yeah,
by the end of this whole revision process, no one's gonna be there.
right.
should we refer to it maybe as the former elementary school or,
Yeah,
or some other terminology to
yeah,
not make it as confusing as possible, but in fact, make it less confusing? Because some people might say, well, who's Sunny Lane Daycare?
Yeah.
I noticed that in the plan, there's even a picture of
yeah.
the daycare and the sign out front says Sunny Lane Daycare. And it's now
Yeah.
served as little peanuts.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, so I think that is something to update, and unless between now and when you are approving the plan, unless only a new daycare center gets proposed, I think. Yeah, just make a note that it's the former elementary school, and maybe make a note, like in the past, it's been used as a daycare, but right now it's not.
Is it imperative or necessary to have that picture there at all? You
No.
think, or no? Okay, so we can delete the picture.
Delete the picture. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you, yeah, I mean, for now, we'll just go ahead with those changes, but if you have any other comments later on, we can always address those.
I noticed in the tools, pages, the ones that have the X's that say we're in compliance with for county, regional planning, and we're in compliance with state planning and so
Yeah.
forth. After the first two pages, it
Yeah.
starts asking where sections are on pages in the plan.
Yeah,
Do you wait till the end after we've made
Yeah.
additions and deletions before we fill those pages in?
yeah, so just, we can move on to that, this municipal plan review tool, so this is what we use, I get the town, after you approve the town plan, if the town wants us to review it and approve it, Wyndham Regional, this is the document we use to review it. And so in reviewing your current town plan or the statute requirements, this plan review tool includes all the relevant sections of statute that you would need to comply with. So this is what I use to review your plan, just to be more efficient with my time. I didn't note, right, every page in the little boxes on the side. So in the text itself that I wrote up, it includes the page sections, but that's for your current plan. And once the town adopts its plan next March, I would do this again for the new plan, but this is just to kind of where are we at today? And as you can see, you're in very good shape. There are a couple recommendations I had that are pretty minor. So since your 2018 town plan does address the new requirements from the state about having policies on preserving forest blocks and habitat connectors. But I would just recommend, and this is something we can do with updating the town plan maps, which is part of the contract we have with the town, is just we'll add a layer showing the forest blocks and habitat connectors in the town. I think that would be helpful because you have policy language in the plan referring to these forest block areas, so showing them on a map is going to be useful, so people can make that connection between, yeah, the plan's talking about forest blocks. I don't know where that is in town, and they can see it on the map. And then like if there was an Act 250 permit application in town and it happened to be in an area that is a forest block area, it would be easier for the town to make comments on that if it's being shown on a map. So that's really just Wyndham Regional adding that data layer onto a map.
Do we have, are you saying we have some sort of forest blocks now?
So the forest blocks and habitat connectors, they've been mapped by the Agency of Natural Resources. And I don't have the map with me, but I know that, like, Putney Mountain,
The
Ridge Line is, and then on the western side of town, that other ridge line, those are, if I can remember correctly, those are identified as important forest blocks. And by the Agency of Natural Resources. And I mean, the valley here is kind of an important connection between probably Mountain Ridge line and then western parts of town into Townsend. So these were changes made, I think it was 2017 or 2018 to state statute that towns need to have policies about protecting those forest block areas that have been mapped out by the Agency of Natural Resources. There's already a lot of overlap between where your future land use map has identified areas more for conservation and where the forest blocks are. So there wasn't a significant change in terms of what you had in your plan after these changes went into effect, but I think just having that somehow.
So when I think about this Lee Ridge line,
Yeah.
I think of that as a series of either public or private properties that have been kind of,
Yeah.
but the Francis has been given the right of use, which kind of protects that, right?
Yeah.
And I think about, I don't know about the other side, I
Yeah.
don't think of a system like that up there, so that's theoretically private property up there.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're crossing the line into some sort of zoning
Yeah.
to put any designations over there, and that would
Yeah.
be that's a can of worms in terms of the town making that decision.
Yeah. So to be clear, it would not be zoning. So and it like like Brookline doesn't have zoning, so the only way a project's going to have some review is if it meets that 250, if an Act 250 permit is triggered.
Yeah.
And if an Act 250 permit is required, the state is going to look at that regardless, like important forest block areas.
Yeah.
So even the state wants it to be included in town plans as well, but the state through Act 250 is already looking at that.
Got the muscle, they have the muscle.
Yeah, so it's and the town would just be mapping the forest block data that already exists at the state level. So you're not creating anything new. You're just for your residents showing
Putting it in the plan.
what the state has already mapped. Yeah.
And we don't have that in our plan now?
So you have policy language about forest blocks. You talk about forest blocks. It's just not on a map.
We don't have the map, we don't have the.
Yeah.
Well, there are plans.
There are-
They're near the end, and they do show areas that are reserved for
Yeah.
wildlife per se. So I'm wondering if that's a map that is like the one you're talking about, or
It's
is the
very, and there's gonna be a lot of overlap between what you've already mapped out as wildlife areas and forest areas for conservation purposes. There's a lot of overlap between what you already have, what the state did in 2017, 2018. And I can work with Jeff at our office just to figure out how best to go with that additional data. So it's not overly confusing. But usually it gets shown like you have a natural resources map in your town plan, so usually it gets shown on that map.
These are land use districts.
Yeah.
That's the land, and then the water resources.
Natural
So
resources.
that's the last one. The third one from the bottom is existing land use. Which has forest, which is pretty much the whole town, with the exception of open areas.
Page 78 has something that says natural resources town of Brookline map.
Yeah, well, let me go to that page. You say 80?
78 in my version.
Okay. 82, 80.
Natural.
Well, I've
resources.
got 70, my maps start on page, transportation is the first one. Community facilities and utilities, and that goes on page 80 in the item that Matt sent us. The natural resources, which appears to be basically plant life, natural community, threatened or something animals, I can't read the
Mhm.
small print.
Yeah, threatened or uncommon animals.
Oh, okay, farming, okay. And then the winter deer area.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that is a parallel of what you're talking about.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's, there will be. There will be a lot of overlap between areas shown on the natural resources map, like so especially like deer wintering areas, but then also on the your future land use districts. There will probably be a lot of overlap between, you have a conservation area and a resource area. And there's gonna be a lot of overlap between what the state has mapped as forest blocks and what you're already identifying as conservation and resource areas.
So if what you're saying is true, and we do have paragraphs in the existing plan that references those lots of data and connectors. Am I understanding that what we stated in the verbiage is not supported by the maps that we done last time, or? And there's a need for the updated maps to be more accurate, or is it also an implication that we need to change the verbiage along with acquisition of another map?
So the verbiage is fine as it is, as it does, it addresses the new state requirements, and you have policy language in there about like prohibiting fragmentation of large blocks of significant wildlife habitat and maintaining connectivity between habitat blocks as corridors for wildlife migration. So you have the language in there. So it's and I guess too, I'd say this is my recommendation. You're not required to have it because it's already been mapped by the state. Someone, if needed, someone just goes to the state's website and sees where these areas are. But just from my perspective, I think it's beneficial to show them on your own map, so someone doesn't have to take that.
Shows maps with ANR.
Yeah, the map, so A&R, right? It's, and the state has multiple online mapping sites, so I always
Yeah.
forget which site it is, but those, yeah, maps were done by A&R, but we have, for most, like I would say most towns we work with in updating their town plan maps, we have included that data in their maps, in their town plan maps from A&R. So, yeah.
I don't have any reason to not accept you.
Yeah, it doesn't.
This or most things, but.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
With
at the end of the day, it doesn't. I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't have a big impact.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Just being more accurate on the findings.
Yes. Yeah.
That's good.
So that was one comment.
Can I
Another-
interject just, sorry, for 1 second, if I may? And this is just to clarify, and this is an area I think I'm still getting stuck on a little bit, so apologies, because I know we've touched on it before, but your point about sort of policy recommendations, and Mike's about, so in this specific example of forest blocks, I have it on page 52, and you cited it, prohibit fragmentation. So it's not necessarily within the town's authority to do that. So are these sort of policy statements because they're kind of the right thing to do, even if we don't necessarily have the tools to do them? Or like sort of maybe you could just give me like your view
Yeah.
on these for a second, if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. So, so the state, excuse us. So in statute, there are requirements in statute for town plans. Like the two main buckets are like the required elements. So those are kind of the required chapters in your plan. And then the town plans also need to be working towards achieving these statewide planning goals. So that's the other kind of big bucket. And so for the state planning goals, those requirements in statute, there's more specific language in statute about policy language in town plans that will achieve these statewide goals. And so one of the statewide goals, or it's a subset of a statewide goal, is protecting these fourth block and habitat connector areas. So, and so for a town plan to be approved by Wyndham Regional Commission, we're verifying that you're working towards achieving these statewide policy goals. And so even for a town like Brookline that doesn't have zoning, at the local level, that would be your main tool for implementing land use regulations in your town plan. But even if you don't have zoning, you're still required to have that policy language in the plan. Yeah, does that?
It's kind of a
answer-
declaration.
It's
We're,
principles.
we're
There's nothing-
acknowledging these blocks.
Yeah,
We don't have any ability to enforce
yeah.
anything other, but it helps
Mhm.
others enforce, I guess.
Yeah, and in the town, I mean, it does. I guess for Act 250, for like a state land use permit, the town's not making the final decision on that, but
Right.
but that is an area where it's helpful to have strong policy language in your plan.
Yep.
For Act 250, because you don't have zoning, and if there is a state land use permit, then the town has standing in that process and can think to its town plan policies and say, this doesn't follow policies A, B, and C.
Mhm.
So it's important to have policy language in there for that. Even though there aren't many Act 250 projects, you want to have good language in there in case something gets approved in the future, so you're not,
Mhm.
caught off guard.
Mhm.
Just in terms of other things, I just recommend, and I already added this to the energy chapter, just including data on energy costs for residents. So that's data that the state now has, so I included that language in the energy chapter.
Can I ask you a question on energy?
Yeah,
I read the energy chapter and I wrote on every page,
yeah.
no wind, no wind, no wind, no wind. And everything, because it keeps talking about how, whoever wrote this before was at the time, we were interested,
Yeah,
seemed like we're interested in looking into and looking for opportunities to expand wind energy
yeah,
in the town.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
I think, anyway,
Yeah,
the winds are changing a little bit on that
yeah.
front.
Yeah, so I would say that's something for us to look at.
Yeah.
Because, that's where you want to have strong language if there's consensus around not supporting wind development, which
I don't know if there is,
yeah,
but it seems as though there might have been consensus about developing wind
yeah,
energy back when this was written before.
yeah,
And I don't feel like I've heard that. And I personally am not a big, at this point, I've kind of cooled off on the wind
yeah. And
idea.
Yeah, and I would just I mean, that's something I've seen kind of region wide. I think there was more interest in wind 15, 20 years ago, and it seems like now, understandably, now there's more interest in solar and less interest in wind. And so I think that's just something for us to keep in mind, whether that language in the energy section should be adjusted. And there are ways to put language in there that makes it would be stronger language in there for development. I will say, like for like a large scale wind utility project, that would go to the Public Utility Commission, and they make a determination if it's in the public interest. It's this town still has standing in that review process, but. If they determine that it's for the public good, they will approve the
Right,
project.
But if the town did want to have some standing and say something, if they looked at this plan, they'd say,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You guys lovely.
Exactly. So, right, so having stronger language in there, at least then you can, because they're gonna look at your town plan versus.
Yeah, they shoot us right down.
If you just, right, if someone is saying, we don't want this, but the town plan is supportive of it, they're gonna look at the town plan language, not, right, the way you say at the time, so.
I'm gonna guess that nobody in town wants to look up and see a big thing up there,
Yeah,
but.
They're also just not, they're not economic now. Like there's just
Yeah.
not, I mean, like not to bring my
yeah.
day job into it, but good luck getting, we can't get
Yeah.
a cell tower. We're not gonna be able to finance a turbine or, or probably have anybody interested in it. So I mean, I think if
Right,
we
so-
want to underscore like our support for renewables, we can say renewables, like, because market winds shift if we're gonna
Yeah.
keep with that analogy or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, that's just something to flag as we move forward.
On page 31 in the item that was sent to us, the second paragraph on that page, it sounds like we have an option of stating unacceptable or resuitable or sensitive to potentially suitable for most, locations. So maybe utilizing a descriptor in the plan about our feeling of wind energy as a source is not acceptable to the town. I mean, when you look at having propellers or whatever you want to call the parts that catch the wind come off on Cape Cod, and they find them flying hundreds of feet. If you envision hundreds of feet away from the top of Putney Mountain, it's hitting my house across the valley. So it's not something very positive.
Yeah, yeah, and I think your energy chapter, I mean, I think it had a good structure in how it's set up in terms of like where how the town's gonna think about a renewable energy project and like where it's appropriate. So you have a good structure in place, so I think it's just kind of tweaking the language. Yeah. I trust that. And then just two other areas. This is a small one, but in the education section, I would just recommend adding a policy about encouraging residents to take advantage of adult education opportunities that are available in the region. The statewide planning goal just talks about educational opportunities for all Vermonters, and we have standard language we use to address that. So,
who can argue with that?
yeah, and then for the housing section, I just recommend adding a policy on supporting accessory dwelling units. That's also in the statewide planning goals. Just making sure that towns are supporting.
It's an accessory dwelling.
So an accessory dwelling unit, it's defined in statute. It's a small scale housing unit that's either within an existing home, or it can be like on the second floor of a garage or a detached structure. That's in the statute, it's 900 square feet or 30% of the primary dwelling square footage. So it's thought of as kind of like a mother-in-law apartment. But it's a way, the idea is it's a way to get additional housing units in.
Right.
That it's not, significantly impacting existing characteristics. It's kind of fitting these in within existing homes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then often in Brattleboro, I believe what they found is that elderly individuals will take advantage of finishing their garage or living in it, because being on Social Security, it's just another source of income, maybe to cover the real estate taxes. So there's an economic incentive in that regard as well, I guess.
Yeah. So those are the only thing, like we talked about at the last meeting. We reviewed your plan 2018 and approved it. There have been some minor changes in statutes since then. So those are the only changes I'd say we need to make For statute requirements, so.
There are things I noticed in the document that was sent out by the state. That deals with the Act 181 and tier structures,
Yeah.
et cetera. Where at certain points in time in the future,
Yeah,
there's another level of regulation.
yeah,
Items to be considered
yeah,
in terms of our
Yeah.
document that we're gonna
Yeah.
sign this coming March.
yeah,
How do we deal with those kinds of issues?
yeah,
Do we build them in and reference a later date, or
yeah,
do we not build them in and just next time around catch it?
yeah. So that's something we can think about and talk about, so. For the Act 181 changes, we are. Right now in the middle of updating our regional feature land use map to meet the new Act 181 requirements. And so that will include changes to our map that will have an impact on Brookline. And I'm hoping in the next month or two, I will have a draft of the map for Brookline done, so I can, at one of our upcoming planning commission meetings, where we're talking about the town plan, I can just meet with you about that as well. At a meeting we already have scheduled, for Brookline. It will not have significant impacts, just because Brookline is not, Brookline won't be eligible for any of the tier 1 exemptions because you don't have zoning. The tier 3, which is kind of additional standards for natural resource areas under Act 250. That rulemaking is being done by the Land Use Review Board. And I don't think that's going to be concluded until September of next year. 2026, tier 3. So there might be some areas in Brookline that are within tier 3, but Wyndham Regional is not. So I think my recommendation is, because we're not going to have our draft, we're not going to submit our plan to the Land Use Review Board for approval until next fall. So
Ours meaning Wyndham Regional Commission.
Wyndham Regional Commission. So I would say, the one thing I would mention for Brookline is right now you don't have a designated village center. And with the new Act 181 new Act 181 changes, Wyndham Regional Commission is now going to be mapping areas that are eligible for a village center. So that's something we can talk, when I have the draft map done in the next month or two, we can talk about that. But that's something you might want to incorporate into your town plan, depending on it kind of depends on how far along we are in our work. But if you approve your plan in March, we can only review it based on our current regional plan. I can't review it based on a plan we're still working on. So I don't think that clearly answers your question, but
As long as we're not clearly penalized.
you're not going to be penalized.
Or adverse conditions.
Yeah,
Then, but
yeah,
why?
yeah. I mean, I think, I mean, right now I'm leaning towards just running with what you have, because I think it just is going to muddy the waters if you're
Mhm.
saying we're expecting this change and then.
No, but,
Yeah.
don't give us, no, but.
But it's a good question. We're kind of right in midstream with this stuff, so. Okay, so that's the statute review, and then the survey results.
Well, you have presented, and I have a copy of it here,
Yeah,
the survey results from 2024.
yeah,
And it looked like, this is a question I should have asked up front in a
Yeah.
way, but
Yeah.
this is a good time to.
yeah,
It looks like it is a replacement in the existing plan for pages 5 through 13. But
yeah.
your comment or
Yeah.
note says, perhaps you can include this as an appendix to the new plan. So the next question I had was, were you implying that we're gonna leave the old description in there or simply delete that too?
Oh, sorry, yeah, so I would recommend. I would recommend just including your most recent survey in the town plan and but sticking it in the appendix.
Okay,
Rather than having it like in the middle of the plan, it's similar to some of the charts. I think it just kind of breaks up the plan.
Mhm.
So I think you can include just a paragraph, we did the survey. If you're interested in the results, look at the appendix.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just a cleaner document.
Yeah.
yeah, well, thank you. You did a lot of work on that, it appears. Thank you very
Oh, the
much.
survey, yeah, it didn't take me too, I mean, I'm glad it was helpful. It didn't take me too long to go through. It was interesting. I mean, and I tried to give kind of my, bullet point general takeaways at the end, which generally my sense was, people want things to kind of remain the same. I think there are some areas for improvement around some of the quality of life issues, telecommunication services like we talked about earlier, and I know recreational opportunities, just opportunities for more community gathering, things like that. But generally, people seem pretty content with how things are, and that is supported in your current town plan. I think that's what your current plan is kind of striving for, is maintaining that rural residential character that you have. I mean, I think for municipal services and facilities, flood resiliency has definitely come up as a bigger issue, not surprisingly, with just recent flood events. So we've talked about the need to integrate the flood resiliency component from your hazard mitigation plan into your town plan. And I think that will definitely kind of beef up the flood resilience section of the town plan. But one question I have is, just because I'm not familiar, but I noticed that an area where there were kind of more negative comments was around waste management services, and I'm just not familiar with how Brookline.
I've made some changes to the, in my copy that I'm gonna send you.
Yeah.
Where there might have been 2 dots, I put in another 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And fill in the verbiage below it.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I send this to you, you will find that.
Okay.
The entities that were cited as the corporations that the town is dealing with
Yeah.
no longer exist.
Okay.
So Casella is the entity that does the trucking to the place in Rutland for disposal of the delivery of the recyclables. And then Casella Trucking does the pickup and deposit of a new empty container.
Okay.
So we're billed by 2 different Casella entities, but Casella is the major word there. And so I've facilitated that, and I noticed that it said disposals. It's using the word disposal.
Yeah.
So I addressed the fact that we are not involved with Wyndham Solid Waste Management District for disposal of garbage and trash.
Yeah.
And that we, as a town, leave it up to the citizen to purchase a ticket or a sticker to be able to allow them to deliver it themselves, or they're able to hire any other vendor they feel comfortable with to take it away. So I've dealt with both ends of that in stream and my modifications.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Matt, were you asking specifically what the challenges that have been raised around waste disposal are, though, also, in addition to sort of like who's does what?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I guess it was just kind of I was
A
just curious because
curiosity.
yeah. And
I've heard 2, and I'm probably the most recent resident on. So I mean, Stan, I'm sure, or Mike could speak at length. But one is just challenges with recycling, like that it is often full, that people don't use it properly. That there's things in it that shouldn't be in it, those kinds of things. And then there are periodic concerns that arise around illegal dumping, or what people would call illegal dumping. Right, without zoning, it's difficult to prevent, but people who maintain sort of dumping on their properties.
Thank you.
Do you want that kind of material in the town plan? I mean, we can put it in there. The reason I didn't bring it
Yeah,
up is
yeah.
because, you know, no matter what you do,
Yeah.
whether you have two empty containers there or one,
Yeah,
somebody's gonna, like last week, put a toaster there,
right.
all other kinds of appliances that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, and I think the survey, so I would say these surveys, it's a helpful way to kind of check in. It's one way to get input. Obviously, only so many people responded. It's not, you can't really say it's representative of the community as a whole. But some things are helpful to kind of incorporate into the plan. Some things are just helpful for the town to know about, like for the select board to know about. So it's not necessarily gonna go into the town plan, like issues about recycling, but now it's additional input for the select
Well,
board.
we are at risk, okay?
Yeah.
The way we're set up, where
Yeah.
people can break the rules, people
Yeah.
do break the rules, if you will, or the guidance.
Yeah.
And we take it on the chin, and there's not that much we do
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And then send out messages, please follow
Right.
this, right?
Yeah.
But it is,
Yeah.
and people do get sensitive to it, understandably so, and that's what you're seeing, I think.
Yeah.
In that survey is,
Yeah.
is the end result of somebody breaking
Right.
guidelines.
Yeah.
The rules, if you will.
Yeah, and it's a question
It's
for,
irritating.
yeah, town of what steps do you want to take? Do you want to?
We put some cameras out there. and
Cameras,
whatnot,
do
we do.
fencing and only open during certain hours or, yeah.
Yeah,
So
we've
then-
talked about all that
Yeah,
stuff, but.
yeah.
Then you put gates up and you gotta, and then the police won't do anything unless we have somebody red-handed and get visual identification and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
So we, every once in a while, we have a mess on our hands.
yeah,
So what the
And Mark
end
is-
result of 3 years worth of looking at all these various comments and how to solve them and
yeah,
resulted in putting up cameras,
yeah.
which I don't even know if the batteries are still alive.
No.
And I'm not sure how often they're checked. I think it was 10 years ago. No.
Sometimes
So-
people see cameras and then.
It's fascinating.
Discouraged.
No, okay, we can put that in all perspective now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could, I don't know, I don't have it in front of me, but I mean, you can just have a recommendation here, like. Continue to evaluate waste management services and make improvements. As necessary and.
That's probably,
So
that
it's-
presents a more positive.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't have
It's
a
just-
clear
right,
path
yeah,
to utopia.
yeah,
All the towns would say, you guys don't really have any, every once in a while you gotta clean up something.
yeah.
Okay.
Other areas that you found weak or in need of comment or?
No, that was. That was it for the survey, so, if you're all right with it, I mean, I could stick the summary and the survey results as an appendix
Okay,
Yes.
to the plan.
please, yeah,
Yeah,
great, thank you.
okay,
There were some shoulds in here in under town government that I recommend we use the word shall.
yeah,
And unfortunately, there are references in here, I'm sure, in a positive and optimistic and supportive posture that say, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. But in fact, when it comes to recreation, access to rivers, we don't have,
Yeah.
own the property,
yeah,
have any right, unless you're gonna implement zoning with attaching certain requirements along with it, to regulate any of that. So I think the last meeting we
Yeah.
had, there was a sentence that Mike
yeah,
brought up that was very
Yeah.
appropriate, and
Yeah.
I, in hindsight, looking at that after that, thought the one above it, immediately above it,
Yeah.
probably ought to be taken out of there as well. I
Yeah.
can't remember which comment it was on what page, but
yeah,
I'll go back and look at the minutes
Okay.
and clarify that. And also email Leah and John so that they can offer their thoughts and comments on those two sentences as well. Not to cover you with comments, but so that
Yeah.
everyone else knows what's going on. at the
yeah,
time.
definitely, that would be helpful. Mm. Let's see. So those are the items I had.
The flood hazard instructions on the website for the town are no longer valid. I did log on today and I copied the appropriate URL to obtain the flood policy, Brookline hazard mitigation plan, I should say. That's the topic, that flood hazard areas and the mitigation plan. There's a section in here about current use. I went to the state's current use site and updated that information for you. In that section of the report, I believe it's on page 51. Yeah, 51. I updated the number of parcels that are now there's 3,763 acres of land in Brookline instead of the 3,515 as of 2024. And it turns out to be 94% of the land in the program. And it is 7.4% increase from the previous town plan. But I'll send you all that, so I have that.
Okay.
So that should be current. Let's see what else here. Oh, invasive species. There's a whole number of items that we have in parts of our town, something called jumping worms.
Yeah.
In the north part of town, I believe. So, and that's not in here anywhere.
Yeah.
And I also am aware that there's some kind of aphid or insect that is significantly affecting beech trees in this town. We have these, you can tell apparently by not only the black blotch that's on the bark of the beech tree, but also the leaves are starting to be deformed and losing their chlorophyll color. So those are items that probably ought to be available in this. And then I went back and looked in our hazard mitigation program worksheets. And I have a 3 or 4 page item of those things that Margot Gia and Bob Maggio, our former select board chair, listed in terms of a title, the invasive species name, what we're doing about it. The date that we plan to have the problem addressed or solved, and lastly, who in town is taking responsibility for it. Did you want any of that information sent to you to include, or do you just want it for your own personal knowledge to enter if you see fit?
Well, I think so. Because I saw that you have the invasive species section in your plan. And I know it's in your hazard mitigation plan too. And because I'm going to be doing an update to the flood resilience section based on your hazard mitigation plan, I could do a quick review and update of the invasive species section in your town plan using that new LHIP language. My recommendation, I haven't looked at it in detail, but I think it's very important to have strong flood resilience section in your town.
That's in that same grid. Those flood areas are also in that same grid, along with any other issue. Fire and race and so forth. So you can pick and choose, for that matter.
Yeah, because I think what I would recommend avoiding is you have kind of 2 separate planning documents, and you got your town plan and your local hazard mitigation plan. And I think it's helpful to incorporate some of the local hazard mitigation plan to your town plan as it relates to things around like land use planning and your transportation network, how that's impacted by flooding. But I think making sure there's some separation between the two also, and I would recommend don't feel as if you need to bring everything to a hazard mitigation plan into your town plan, because then it creates some kind of murkiness between the two. So you can also, as an easy solution, you can just have a sentence in there too that town plan incorporates the local hazard mitigation plan by reference. So then if you're ever in a proceeding or if there's an issue where you're needing to use your town plan, it's saying in your town plan, you also need to look at the local hazard mitigation plan then it saves a lot of time. But I do think flood resilience is a specific thing in statute that needs to be in your town plan. So it makes sense to include that. And invasive species, that's in your natural resources section. I know of a few towns that have a section on invasive species too, so there's nothing wrong with having that, but I think going into details about some of the other hazards, I would just recommend just incorporating it by reference, and then you don't have to worry.
Okay, so that
That makes
involves a dissection of the grid, so I guess the specifics of it are. Do you want me to make those decisions, or do you want me to send it to you and you make those decisions, make changes? I'm amicable to doing whatever fits into your schedule. Knowing
Yeah.
that we're willing to help as best we can. Don't want to overly load anyone down, but on the other hand, if
Yeah,
we can save time and work it by joint efforts, that's
Yeah.
fine with me too.
yeah, I think. So I know, like, Stan, I know you've been making some changes to the plan, and I know Leah's been working on some changes to the plan.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just thinking about, with the idea of those changes coming to me and me kind of presenting a more final draft that incorporates all the changes.
So how did you want to do that? Did you
Yeah.
want between ourselves consolidate that into one? Or did you want us to, Leah send you what she's got, I send you what I got, and you consolidate it? I don't,
I think if both of you just send them to me,
okay.
I'll do the consolidation.
Alright.
That works. I think. Stan, let me put some thought into, I appreciate the offer to assist with the hazard mitigation plan integration. Let me just put some thought into like how to best figure that out, but
No pressure.
I may be asking you for assistance with that, but I want to take some time just to review the current flood resilience section and just think about
Yeah,
how much update is needed.
appreciate the thoughtfulness and thank you. Leah, are your changes in a format that you would be able to send to Matt within a day or two, or
Sure.
sometime
Yeah,
in the
yeah, I have either in Word or I mean I can redline in PDF, whatever's easier for you, Matt. And well, let me pause there. Which is easier for you?
I think in Word is going to be easier.
Great. Okay. And then I guess my second question, some of them are like just thoughts or suggestions I had to simplify the plan. And I don't want to seem harsh, but like there's a fair bit of whimsy in it. There's like some poems and some other things and some history and stuff like that. And I don't I don't know what our view is on keeping it because it's part and parcel of our kind of culture as a town, or if we want to streamline and if this group has a view. I mean, I have some, I would call them more material or maybe useful changes, but that was one area that popped out at me is like, if we wanted to kind of simplify, we could, but up to the group.
You see those comments, Mike, done by Mrs. Rink and Mrs. Marsh. I think it was maybe both Rinks. There was kind of a flowery, poetic presentation.
That's not me.
Or maybe appendix. Maybe we just jettison things to the appendix, right? Like my thought was like, there's a lot of pages of like history and that kind of stuff, and maybe we don't want to lose it, but maybe it doesn't need to be up front and center in the plan.
I don't like the history going in an appendix because I like having the history.
Yeah.
I'm not personally. I don't care about a lot of flowery language.
I think the present planning committee members were unanimous in their thoughts about what you've aptly brought up, Leah, so perhaps we should just do that, put it in an appendix.
Okay.
There's appendix B after the other appendix F.
Yeah, that has done a solution, I think. Yeah. Let's see. And I did want to, if we can, because I know your next meeting is 28th, and both you and I have another meeting. I
mentioned to the group of membership last meeting that I'd love to go to the Wyndham Regional Commission, but my main mission is to be loyal to the town. And in light of the fact that we're small in number,
Yeah,
we've got a really good group of people, very dedicated, skillful, intelligent. That
Good looking.
I will not, well, it wasn't. Yes, good looking to Leah and.
Not for the
myself,
minutes, not
I'll
for the
leave
minutes.
myself out of that. I think I'll come to this meeting instead. I so advised, the office of, as well, the other day, yesterday and the day before. So,
yeah, I'll have to be at that meeting.
I figured-
But just looking into November, let's see, your next. Um, Let me just look at my
It
calendar.
looks like the next time after that is it November 11th?
November 11th, which is Veterans Day. It's a holiday for our office.
We could move, I mean, we can move these meetings.
Yeah, so I'm available on the 12th, the Wednesday. 6 p.m. Or the following week on the 17th or 19th.
I think that the 12th, if these guys, if everybody's available, right? Move the 11th meeting to the 12th, if that's keep this ball rolling.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. Because that's in between the 2 weeks of the select board, which, and it's still keeping to being in the second week of the month.
Yeah.
The 12th would, how did, Leah, what do you
Agreed.
think about,
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
let's do it.
And so for that meeting, let's see, my goal would be to, so one of the other sections I'll update is just the consistency with surrounding town plans. So that's an easy update. So I was planning on doing that for that November 12th meeting.
Mhm.
If folks are able to send me their revisions in Word, like within the next, week or two,
Yeah,
I can compile everything and have at least like kind of a rough first draft for that November 12th meeting too. And by then, Stan, I'll put some thought and connect with you about the flood resilience, like the
Okay.
hazard mitigation plan and at least get that started for
Sure.
that November meeting. And then the idea would be then the next meeting would be the week of Thanksgiving, and I'll be out of town. But for this first meeting in December, my hope would be to have like a much more kind of complete.
Is Thanksgiving the 27th or the 25th?
27th.
So the 25th would be our normal Tuesday,
Yeah,
fourth week of the month.
and I'll be out of
You'll
town
be out of town, okay.
for that, yeah.
Okay.
But I do have December 9th on my calendar.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Okay. I have a question. Somewhere in the work plan, I saw
yeah,
the notion of meeting with the select board in a working session.
yeah,
But I think it had select board and a lot of others in it.
Yeah.
Some of them we met with.
yeah.
Do we want a working session with the select board and when do we want to do that?
Yeah, so let me just look at this because I went.
Is that after we have a draft or before we have a draft or when?
Yeah, because I know like for the just so I don't forget for like that December meeting, I would have the implementation program, and we would also have the updated town plan maps for that December meeting. For meeting with the select board. I'm thinking here, just with the timing. Because our goal is for the planning commission to have a final draft done by early January, so you can hold your public hearing in early February. So I think if we could meet with the select board after the next meeting on November 12th, like between November 12th and when you meet on December 9th. Because I think by November 12th, I think we'll have like at least a first rough draft.
So our meetings in November would be the 5th and the 19th.
15 and 19.
So we could do the
Select board
19th. Select board meeting. And so how much time would we wanna block out at the 19th meeting?
And what time of day
We
is
start
that?
at 6:30.
6:30.
So if they're meeting the 5th or the 12th, I'm sorry, the 19th. Right,
I think
5th or
that-
the 19th.
5th and
Yeah, I think then the 19th would be good because the planning commission will have a chance to meet November 12th.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
it'd be good if you sent, if you sent me an email,
Yeah,
let's say we want to do it the 12th.
Yeah.
With some little sentences on what we want to try to
yeah,
accomplish with the select board on
yeah,
the 19th, or whenever you decide we want to do it.
yeah, because
Doesn't have to be then, it could be later, but so I leave it up to you, but just
yeah,
so when I tell them, hey, we need a block of time,
yeah,
want to give them what.
yeah, yeah, let me think about it, because yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be a lot of time, and I think between like the info we got tonight, and if I can, and you all have a sense too of kind of the background information that needs to get updated. But I do think I think it can be helpful to run a draft by the select board before the planning commission finalizes it in case anything gets missed, and that's just easier once you get into the approval process. So let me just put some thought into it. But I'll follow up with you, Mike.
I have software that can allow me to change your PDF that you sent to me into Microsoft Word.
Okay.
I will give it a shot
Yeah,
and see if it keeps any of the verbiage I put in there, or whether it simply deletes it,
yeah,
or whether it somehow repeats it and puts it in there. But if I can do that, I will then go in and make not only the changes that I referenced tonight, but some of the other stuff
okay,
that, which will in the long run facilitate some of this whole thing, along with Leah. And so with Leah and myself doing that, I think
Yeah.
they'll be well along.
sounds good.
Okay. Try to simplify that stuff. Yeah. Leah, you're pretty sharp on this stuff. Is there anything we're missing or we haven't talked about yet that you had in mind earlier, or from Mike for that matter as well? You know, Mike's inundated with all that stuff, so.
Not that sharp.
No, you are. I just said.
You have a
got so
bigger
much
job.
coming at you. I feel terrible even asking you to do something.
I don't
totally
have
forget it.
any additional comments. I mean, I think it makes sense now that the schedule's clear. That's great. I guess, Mike, if helpful to have any members of this, assuming we move forward with November 19th, I know we have to confirm that, but like if it's helpful to have me or others there, happy to join as well.
Yeah, I think I'll, whenever that is, we'll invite the planning committee to come and
Great.
sit in.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sounds very respectful. Thank you. Yeah. So, looking at, we pretty much are talking as we're working this out, step 10, which was discuss future steps. And as Matt's been talking, he's basically setting sort of the agenda for that meeting as well. But I think we'll have our suggestions to you before our second meeting this month in October on the 28th.
yeah,
So I guess the question that I have is, will you have a sense from what you are sent by Leah and myself
yeah.
of what further we can do to accelerate the process or coordinate with you?
I think let's see, I think if you all are able to get me what you have by the end of this week, I'm pretty confident I will have time next week for your meeting on the 28th to at least start kind of compiling everything. So you have something to review on the 28th, even though I won't be there, but at least you'll have something to
Yeah.
look
sounds
at
good.
and, yeah.
It sounds good now.
Yeah, but I think that will just make the next meeting in November kind of more efficient too, if
Mhm.
you all are able to
Yeah,
start talking about it.
that's an
on the
incentive
28th.
right there.
Yeah, so okay,
Sounds good.
I can definitely do that. Yeah, because I could aim on getting something to you Friday the 24th ahead of your meeting on the 28th.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would. That's great now. I know we're not your only so-called customer, but hopefully their life
well,
is.
that's the important one.
That's the most manageable. Well, unless there's something other that's critical to decide, with it being now about a minute and a half after 8 o'clock. I'm very tempted to say, let's adjourn this meeting. Is there a second?
Second,
Second,
Okay.
third.
All right, great. Meeting is adjourned, and thank you all. Hope you have a good remainder of the week, and we'll see you soon.
bye, Leah.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Yeah,
okay.
let's see.
Good, good.
Thank you.
Good
That was
discussion.
very-
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Stan. Good job.
Come on.
Good job.